highlight every single shelf because that's what gives this life. Let me turn the lights off and show you the difference. Stay right there. What do you think? Boring. Just watch this. That's why we put spotlights on all of our art. You got lights, and they do exactly what I wanted them to do, is go up and down. We need to hang these things so we can decide on placement and height and location. Instead of doing it with the actual glass balls, let's do it with water bottles. Bottle number 1 is perfect, and we only have 47 more to go. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Welcome to the 8th design session. I'm Rebecca Robeson, and today we're going to cover the subject of lighting. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. Remember, you can hashtag us on Twitter and stay a part of the conversation by hashtagging Design Sessions Live, okay? All right, well, you know, our houses can become our homes when we love them. Do you love your home? Well, I'm here to help you with that. I want to tell you about the design sessions as a broad stroke. I see it as kind of like a toolbox. Some of us have toolboxes that are completely empty, and some of us have incomplete sets. So what I do every month is I bring to you a new topic, a new tool, as it were, and we unpack it together. I teach you everything I can on each individual topic. Every month, your tool belt and your tool box will become more and more equipped for the job of turning your home into something that is what you and I would call a dream home. Once we complete our toolbox and we have all our tools, I'm going to then take you room by room and show you how to complement all of these design ideas and principles together to make your home great now. Rome was not built in a day, and your house isn't going to be built in a day either. It's a process, and that's what I like about the design sessions, is you have 30 days between each tool that you receive to look at your house, assess it, and practice with your new tools. Today we're going to go over lighting, and I think it's going to be a game changer. I know that in my interior design career at Robeson Design, lighting has made the biggest impact and the biggest difference in all of my projects. I've taken the concept of lighting and what I've learned, and I have perfected it. And I'm going to share it with you. Are you guys ready? Have you downloaded your PDFs yet? Please do, and take them with you as we go along this journey. All right, I want you to know my goal for you is that you have confidence in your own decorating abilities. So I'm going to give you one piece of designer's advice in particular, and this is something that I use in all of my projects. A lot of people, they get so excited about decorating their home, and if they have a limited budget, they can only spend so much money. So what they'll do is they'll do this BB gun thing where it's like, you know, all over the place. And what happens is you'll spend a lot of money and a lot of time and effort, and you'll never really quite feel like you've gotten there, like you've accomplished it. So my advice to people is to decorate one room at a time. Pick one room, the room that matters the most to you. I don't know, pick it because it's just bugging you. And focus your energy and your efforts all in that one room. That way, all of your money will go toward that, and when you're done, you will have a completed room and it will feel so good. I look at the tool of lighting as function meets fashion. Clearly, lights are functional. We need lights to not trip over our furniture, right? And a lot of people never get any further than that. But I see lighting as a fashion statement and as a dramatic effect in your home. I actually think if you pick the right light fixtures, it can kind of serve as art or sculpture, which maximizes your budget, which isn't a bad thing, and it can make such a huge difference. I'm going to show you pictures today from some of my projects that will illustrate exactly what I'm talking about. And the last thing is lighting. It just makes me happy. And I bet it makes you happy too. Let me give you an example. For 1 second, close your eyes and imagine your Christmas decorating this year. I bet it was fabulous, right? Well, imagine if you turned the lights off on your Christmas tree and the lights off on your wreath and your garland and your staircase and all the different places. What would it look like? It looks cold and drab, doesn't it? But when you turn those Christmas lights on, it is magic. So if it does that for Christmas, then seems to me it could do it for your home too. So I'm going to show you a little light show in my own living room where I've applied some of these principles to my home. I think it will help you to understand what I'm talking about. All right, let's get started. Guys, would you please turn off the studio lights? Let's light it up from the top to the bottom. The very first thing that most homes need is recessed can lights. I cannot tell you how many homes I go into, even some very expensive homes, and they have little to no can lights in the ceiling. So recessed lights are extremely important. So let's light this puppy up from the top down, starting with the ceiling. In my living room, I have 4 recessed can lights, and I find them extremely important and helpful so that I can light specific areas of my home. This is completely functional lighting. So on the can lights, here's what you need to know. If you have a vaulted ceiling like I do, you want to make sure that your can lights have adjustable eyeballs on them. Here's the point. The ceiling goes like this. If you put a can light in like this, look at the direction that your light's going to go. But if you put the can light in and you adjust the eyeball, you can get your lights to go straight down. That's how you handle ceiling lights. Another area you can use lights in your ceiling is in a chandelier. Now, a lot of people wouldn't think to put a chandelier in the center of a living room. Well, I did. Take a look here. My chandelier lights up in its dead center of the 4 lights here. But the most important point is it sits and hangs directly over my coffee table, lighting up that spot. One of the things that you might want to consider with a chandelier is how high should it go? People ask me that all the time. Now, on a ceiling fixture, if you didn't have anything underneath of this, you would not want this to drop any lower than 7.5 to 8 feet. I believe mine's at 7.5 feet. You want it to be low enough to hang in the overall sitting area and feel a part of the room, but you don't want anyone to hit their head on it when they're walking underneath. Now, here is another thing you can do. If you have a coffee table that sits directly underneath of it, for example, I have that in my office, and I do that in a lot of homes. You can drop that thing way down deep. It's a little bit more of a modern application, but it looks amazing. For example, 4 seats facing each other, awesome chandelier that drops down. You want to have that chandelier about 3.5 to 4 feet off of the coffee table height, and you can be as dramatic as you want to with that. As long as there's a coffee table or ottoman, no one's going to hit their head on it. They have to walk around anyway. And just so you know, I'll give you a little tip. A lot of people ask, how high should a chandelier be off of a dining table? We typically hang them between 32 and 36 inches above the top of the table. The bottom part, right here. That way you can still see through, and it's still a part of your ambiance. So now let's start to bring the light down to in the middle of the room a bit. How about putting lights on your artwork? I absolutely love that look, and I do it in every single one of my projects. Let me show you what a difference a spotlight can do to a piece of art. Take a look at my piece right here behind my sofa. Big difference, huh? And one of the things you'll notice here too, if you're going to do any art lights, you're going to want to have those on adjustable eyeballs as well. Do you see that up there? An adjustable eyeball will allow you to place that light where you want. Mine is right there in the center where the gold foil starts to come alive. Doesn't that just make it look incredible? Okay, now so if we turn the art light on, now we're going to turn on the lamps, bringing the light down even more. A pair of lamps on either side of the painting looks great. And see how much ambiance and warmth that brings? Now watch this. What if I add both? Pretty, huh? Pretty, huh? I think so. I think it makes such a difference. Lighting will make the things that you have in your home that you've already spent your time and money on amazing. Now, here's a little tip for lights. when you put a light bulb in a lamp, there are different types. Now this is something that I learned that I think is really valuable. So this is a white or a frosted bulb. This is my favorite bulb. This is not, but a lot of people use these. Let me show you what the difference between these two light bulbs does for a lamp. Can you tell a difference? How about this? Take a look at the amazing shadows it places on the ceiling. And on that side, nope. So if you want to have a diffused light look with your lamps, always choose frosted or white bulbs. I'll put this back in so you can look one more time and see the difference. Isn't that amazing? Did you know that? Let me know on Twitter. Did you know about that? That's a great tip. Now I want to bring you over here to my sconce. This is a single sconce on the wall. And just so you know, sconces are actually attached to the wall, and it adds more light, more warmth, more ambience to the space. If I have a symmetrical look, for example, on either side of my mirror here, I could have done two sconces, a pair. That always looks really great, but you have to remember, a sconce is going to stick out from the wall a certain amount. So if it's a high flow traffic area, you don't want people to hit it and clip it on the way over. So in my case, I just used a single. I love built-ins. They are a signature design element of something that I do in my homes, and there will be a design session specifically on built-ins. But right now I'm just showing you how I like them. This was built maybe 12 years ago, 13, 14, I don't know, a long time ago. And at the time, all we had was these recessed puck lights. But look, this is also adjustable. So I can make that light bulb go in or out, which is really cool. And just a little tip, if you're going to put lights in your bookcase or your built-in, make sure that they install them as far forward as they can. Back in the day, we always used to put them in the middle, and it just shines things on top of things. Bringing them forward and having the ability to adjust the eyeball will allow you to light up what's inside of there. Nowadays, though, we use a lot of LED tape lights, and those are really effective for lighting an even lighting. But another tip on that, make sure that if you install them along the top here, that you put an inch piece of wood, a trim that comes down and covers your view of that LED light. But it's really effective. And of course, we always want to have the capability of dimming things. I love dimmers. And then for my last kind of lighting, I want to send you up to the top here. This is up lights on top of my built-in. Up lights can light sculptures, it can light art from behind. A lot of people use it to light up a tree. So you put an uplight on the floor, it lights up, and it creates this like shadow effect. Well, I have uplights, but mine happen to be not on the floor, but all the way at the top of my built-in. And I use them at Christmas time, and it creates a really cool effect. So that gives you an overview of how I did my living room. Here's my homework for you this month. I'd like you to take the PDF that you can download and print and go from room to room in your house and take notes. What do you have currently? What's missing based on what I just showed you? And what would you like to do? What do you think would make a reasonable and beautiful difference? You don't have to go out and do it all at one time, but start to plan and think in advance. Again, decorating one room at a time is highly suggested, but assessing your rooms all at the same time is not a bad idea. So take a look and see. For example, you might go into your bedroom, and when you get in there, you say, okay, well, there's no lights in the ceiling, and there's a floor lamp over here and a little tiny short lamp on my nightstand. That's not cutting it, is it? I bet it's dark in there. I bet you wish you had more light. Not only that, it's just not symmetrical or balanced in any way. So here's what you have, here's what you don't have, what do you need? Keep that list because you're going to need it in the future. All right, I'm going to take you now through a slideshow of some of my projects, and we're going to discuss every one of these aspects of lighting, and I'm going to show you what I did in my clients' homes to really make a difference. Let's get started. I wanted to start with this project here. This is one we just recently finished in Solana Beach, because I made the point earlier that your lighting can actually be art. It can be sculptural. Notice here there are 3 different very obvious fixtures. One is to the far right. That is a pendant dropped over a coffee table. Now, trust me, if we move that coffee table, you could not walk under that. So this is dropped really far into the room, but it added the drama we needed. Then we go to the pool table room, which is just to the left of that, and this really, really organic, cool, hip, modern. And then as you look to the left, all the way through, you can see in the kitchen nook, this really, really cool. Actually, we're going to be uploading a video to YouTube very soon on this project, so you'll get to see it up close and personal. So that really, to me, that really makes the point about a light fixture acting as art. We're going to start, again, from the top, recessed can lights. This is a family room of a project we are starting on now. And in this case, the clients realized that they didn't have enough lighting. So what they did was they actually installed 6 cans themselves. But they did it in a typical way that most electricians do it, and that is in a grid pattern. They did 6 lights, bam, 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 which gives you even placement of lighting, but absolutely no drama. Big mistake. We are doing this project now, and I can't wait to tell you and show you how it's going to turn out. I promise you, it's not going to look anything like that, and the lighting's not going to be like that either. Now, the next one is of a living room that we did, and I want you to notice that the lights in the ceiling are not in a grid pattern. In fact, they look a little haphazard. They're not. They're very purposeful. For example, in the very center of the room, you'll see a light that goes straight down on the coffee table. Then you see outside of that 4 lights in a square pattern. Those light up the chairs in this living room specifically. So my job is this. I feel like if I do a great job at doing a lighting plan for a project, no one's ever going to look up and see the source, the origin of those lights. All they're going to see is what the lights look like and how they function and light up the room in a dramatic way. Let me give you an example. When you are going to light a living room, for example. Now, I learned a long time ago that here's your best source of lighting. Right here, if you had a menu and it was in your lap and you were looking at it, right here is where you want your light. It's not back here, because if your light had been put directly above the center of the sofa, which you might think you'd do, you would have the shadow of your head in the way of what you wanted to read. So when I do my lighting plans, I have my furniture in there first, and then I place my lights along the front, probably 10 inches from the edge of the sofa back. That's where I want my lights to come. You do that and you will end up with a spectacular lighting plan in your home. So in this house, that's what we did. Those 4 lights light up those 4 chairs perfectly. Now, take a look at this. In each one of these sections, I'm going to give you a budget-minded version of this. Let's say you're not in a position to hire an electrician to bring in canned lights, but you like the effect. In this room, this is Joey's room, these are actually IKEA PAX wardrobe systems, but you can see along the top these lights, which are very similar to recessed cans. They're just attached to the top of the cabinet, but they're up high. They create the same look as a canned light, and they do it for about $19 as opposed to, I don't know, $150 or $125 or something to put in a canned light. So that is a quick way to get the effect of a canned light without spending the big bucks. Now we're going to go to the second thing that I showed you, which is chandelier hanging lights. And here is a chandelier that's hung over a dining room table. Isn't that beautiful? I just love this fixture. I particularly like long, skinny fixtures over a long, skinny table. Round fixtures over a round table. But you can have a round over a rectangle as well. This one just looks great. Now, if you were to take a tape measure of that, you would see that it's about 33 inches off of the table. And what a dramatic effect that it creates. In this living room, again, the idea of dropping a chandelier in your living room, pretty impressive. Well, this is extremely high ceiling. Now, let me just tell you, if you have an 8-foot ceiling, not much chance you're going to want to drop a chandelier in the middle of your living room. But if you have a high ceiling, vaulted or double height or even triple height, this kind of thing works really, really well. And it adds the drama to the room. And it just came into the room so beautifully and added so much of a yummy look to that room. Here's another chandelier in a dining room. I just love this one. It has similar little crystals to the one I put in my living room here. But this is a drum shade, only it's glass, which adds such a really cool element. So as you can tell, this is dropped low to the table. Not so low that it's in anyone's way, but low enough to be dramatic and to be fabulous. And have you ever thought about putting a chandelier over your island in your kitchen? Pretty snazzy. In this kitchen, we actually used a crystal and silver chandelier that looked incredible. We were able to drop it enough to get some drama out of it, but still be out of the way of the cook and any of her guests in that room. Now for a budget-minded option, let's say again, you don't want to spend the money on an electrician, but you have a cool fixture. Maybe you make the fixture that I showed you guys, DIY light fixture with Edison bulbs. Well, my hairdresser lived in an apartment and I helped him with this place. And we hung this really cool homemade DIY chandelier over the center of his table. You'll see that there's actually a swagged cord, the extension cord, that goes from the center, swags down to the corner of the wall, and then he just drops it where that color and that texture meets in the corner. It's just part of the room, and if you don't mind having a cord hanging down, it can look kind of cool and hip. Let's go on to pendant lights. Pendant lights are actually, they're different than chandeliers because they're usually typically on a single pole that hangs down. So I like to use pendant lights in a lot of places. Where you typically think of seeing a pendant light is over an island in a kitchen. But I've used them in so many different places. For example, how about like in this bathroom? This bathroom was absolutely beautiful. So I took 2 Mercury pendants and I hung them at different positions from the wall as well as different heights. So they're like one's further back, one's closer, and then they're at different heights. It made such a great, dramatic, and yes, artsy look. We not only lit the bathroom up, but we added some drama and some art at the same time. Even in a guest bedroom, I love this particular pendant. It's kind of like a pendelier. I just made that up. Because it's sort of like a chandelier and a pendant at the same time, but it's really cool. It's sea glass, and outside that view, out that window, is the ocean. And I just thought that the combination, the connection was great. So keep in mind your finishes and the materials that things are made out of. Not just any fixture, you want the right fixture. So you can avoid having a lamp on the tabletop, still get light in the room by dropping a fixture over the center, a pendant light. Doesn't that look great? Another great place for a pendant light, and a lot of people think of this anyway, but is to use one in a stairwell. Now this stairwell is, as far as I'm concerned, is a complete work of art in and of itself. It's all custom iron, custom stairs, the spectacular mosaic floor, and we have custom artwork below. But that light fixture had to compete with all those different elements and materials. So by using this particular fixture that has this circular look to it, the rings that go around and around and around and go up, I felt like it held its own in its location. When you're deciding the height to hang something like this, it's not even something I can give you a measurement. You really have to stand there with your electrician and say higher, lower, lower, higher, lower. They love that, but you have my permission to do that. When you're selecting a fixture like this, remember what it is surrounded by. There are a lot of vertical pickets on that stair railing, so that circular look kind of broke all of that while still staying in the circular feel of the railing. So beautiful. Here's another way to use pendants, ways people don't typically think of. I like to use them as almost like a room divider screen. So in this particular family room, we had this very long family room. All of the entertainment area and the sofa was on this side, and then there was a game table over here. But it was just kind of like a bowling alley. And I wanted to create a bit of a partition, but not. I didn't want to make the room look smaller. So by dropping pendant lights over the credenza that has all the games in it, it kind of created like this makeshift, movable, see-throughable room divider screen. Clever? Yes. And let's not forget the kids' rooms. This is an IKEA pendant in Abby's room. One of my, to this date, favorite YouTube videos that we have. It's such a fun, colorful room, but we were able to really kick up the drama by adding this IKEA 36-inch around light fixture. That thing is huge. You can add an extra large light fixture like that to a room if, number one, you have high enough ceilings. This had a 9-foot ceiling, but also if it's over the bed. Again, you always have to remember the height that people can walk under, but if it's placed over the bed, who cares? Because no one's going to be walking over the bed, right? Or at least they shouldn't be. And just so you know, in case you're worried, this fixture is made out of paper. So if it were ever to fall or hit somebody, it wouldn't hurt. We call that a big bang for your buck. So let me leave you with one last, very budget-minded, inexpensive pendant idea, okay? In Scott's apartment, my son, we were doing his place a lot of IKEA. I tell you, IKEA's got great inexpensive lighting. And a lot of them come on cords. You just have to work with the cords. So here in his dining room, we actually took these pendant lights that were honestly, I think, under $20 each, and we hung them actually in an architecturally interesting way. We hung them center of these two windows, so that kind of framed it. And look how we hung the cords. We put screws up in the top, we hung them over the screws and tied them, and then we brought the cords down to the sides and straight down. It looks like the cords are part of the design. Be creative, think outside the box. We got this light fixture in this room, very architecturally interesting, for under 50 bucks. That's pretty groovy. How many of you know what a semi-flush light is? You know what a semi-flush is? Semi-flush lights are lights that are mounted to the ceiling, but they don't really drop much. So part of their intent is to send light up to the ceiling, lighting the room all around. Now, they've been around for a long time, and most of them are very outdated and kind of gross, and you want to get rid of them. Some of you probably have some of those. But what I want to show you is some updated, more cool semi-flush mounts. Here in this hallway, I actually paneled the ceiling along the entryway, and we used these beautiful semi-flush mounts to go on to the ceiling because I wanted to light up the paneling. If you're going to spend the money on paneling, you might as well light it up, right? And it also lit up the walkway as well. Same kind of idea in this office. We lit the cool wood slat ceiling. It was the first time I'd ever done wood on a ceiling, and I was so proud of myself. I thought it looked so good. So yeah, man, we were gonna light that stuff up. We didn't want to put a hole in that and then send light down. We wanted to send light up. So we used a semi-flush mount. And these drum shades are amazing. They were custom made for this project. Now, here is an inexpensive way, budget-friendly way to add kind of a ceiling, flush mount kind of a thing and get the most out of your bucks. In this pantry, we needed lighting, and it used to have some canned lights, but they didn't send off enough light. So we took those down and we got semi-flush mount, adjustable arm, not track lighting, but spotlights. So we could do two fixtures and we could take those spotlights and we could adjust them exactly where we wanted them. Got a huge amount of light for a very small amount of money. What do you do if you cannot put lights in the ceiling? You cannot go into a wood ceiling, for example, or you don't want to. Or let's say you're on a really strict budget and you need a lot of lights, try track lighting. Here is a living room that we turned into a billiard room. And in this room, this whole ceiling in here was this great solid wood clapboard. Kind of, can't be putting holes in that, and there wasn't anything above it. So we mounted to the exterior track lighting. These lights here are by LBL and Tech Lighting. And what's cool about them is you not only have the specific spotlights, which is what you think of for track lighting, but you can also buy things that hang down like pendants. And over this pool table here, we actually have pendants that are shades. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, all by using track lighting. Here is another bedroom on a budget, and it is awesome because it's just IKEA track lights. This is for a little boy. I think he was, 12 years old or something, and we did this kind of Tahitian at night sunset kind of room with mirrors on the wall. Now listen to this. That whole wall over there is mirror. So this goes here and goes like that, and then it looks like in the mirror it goes from there and goes like that. Really cool effect, giving us so much light in that room with only one J-box needed in the ceiling. That is a really smart and creative and inexpensive way to do it. All right, let's talk about art lights. My favorite. Love art lights. Is that not just gorgeous? I think hallways are one of the most overlooked spaces. Whether your hallway is a photo gallery that you love of your family and your friends over the years, all framed and hung up on that wall, or if it's just a piece of art that you want to add color, drama, a feeling as you're walking from one space to the next, try adding art lights. In this hallway, you can see how this is an inexpensive canvas that we bought, and it just made so much color come alive. I wish I had a picture of what this looked like if the light was off. Totally, not good. Here we have a beautiful painting that was custom painted by Grayson Darrow, and he did this calla lily. So imagine, it's all black background, and you can see here this whole room is about contrast, light and dark. So the black background with this white calla lily, and then you shine a spotlight of art down on it. It is beautiful. Huge impact, very dramatic. Great little beachy, summery kind of room here in this family room with these soft aqua colors and lime greens and citron, aqua, turquoise, white, chocolate. Yummy, yummy. But look how we have two eyeball lights focusing right down on that painting. And I tell you what, it was magical. Oh, talk about drama. Look at this library I designed. And when I say I designed it, from stem to stern, every single aspect in this thing. Isn't it beautiful? Oh my gosh, love this. It's solid walnut. We are going to have a design session in the future on built-ins, so I'm going to get more specific then, but just for now, just look at the fact that that piece of art in the center was lit up. Now this is a very expensive original oil painting, so we needed to light it up, but I tell you what, amazing what light can do on your artwork. At the end of a hallway, another painting by Grayson. They're white flowers, and they are gorgeous when they're lit. So you can kind of tell there's a spotlight right on that, and it takes your eye into the artwork and beyond. It's like a perspective thing. Gotta have lights on your art. Just gotta. So let's get budget minded. What if you have art and you don't want to spend the money, or maybe you live in an apartment and you just feel like it's not your place to put, holes in the ceiling? I don't know, that's weird, don't you think? Well, here's an idea for you. Now, this is a retreat room for one of our clients, but I want you to notice on the top, on the far right, do you see what's on top of that painting? It is a clip art light. You can buy the clip art lights. Now, it's not as classy as an eyeball coming from the ceiling, but I'll tell you what, I'd rather have a clip art light on a piece of art than no light. So give that a consideration. So now I want to talk to you about a kind of a signature design thing that I think I made up. I don't think I've ever seen it done before by any other designers. And it's, to me, one of the things that I do that really sets my work apart from a lot of other people. Every time I ask an electrician I've never worked with before to do this, he's like, what? You what? Okay, here it is. This is what I do. I light my window treatments. I know, weird, right? Why would you light window treatments? All that light's coming in. I'll tell you why. Because so much light is coming in that your window treatments become a silhouette. You know what I'm talking about? You cannot see it, you can't appreciate them. But if I take lights and I place them about 14 inches away from the wall so that they wash down the front of that fabric, now I have brought the entire outdoors and the indoors together. It's not this harsh feeling. It is now soothing. It's like a blending agent. So light your window treatments. It makes such a huge difference. Let me show you some projects where I've done this. Actually, I do it in every project. Here is a living room we did a number of years ago. I love this geometric fabric that we used here. What I want you to pay attention to is the ceiling here. Along that wall where you see 3 window treatments, you'll see that there are lights posted there, and you can kind of tell that fabric sort of gets a bright spot on it. That's because those are lit. Back to that dining room I showed you earlier with the chandelier. This is a very unique application. So I found that, of course, I wanted to light my window treatments. And here's an issue. If you have a soffit, so here's your wall. Here's your soffit, and here's where you'd put a light. Do you know what happens? That light, bam, hits that soffit and creates the funniest, funkiest shadow across your window treatments or across anything. So if you have a soffit, there are things you can do. And I came up with this solution. I've never seen it before. I'm sure it's been done. But just take a look at it here with me. What I did was had installed monopoint lights on the front of the soffit that had the ability to come. So here are my window treatments. Here's my soffit, and it goes up. If I had put a can light, like I normally would, an eyeball light on that, it would have gone down like this and hit that soffit, creating a horrible shadow. So instead, I got monopoint lights that are affixed to the front. So here we go. Window treatment, ceiling of the soffit, and on the front of that soffit, we attach these lights. That light has an arm that comes out and a head, and the head goes bam and points it exactly where I want it. That was clever, huh? So you can make it work. You just got to think outside the box and be creative. Here's another one where I wanted to do the ceiling lights, and we actually used those monopoints again where the lights actually come down because I wanted to clear this crown molding. I felt like if I didn't have these lights come down further, the crown molding would get in the way. So do you see, I just love this picture. These window treatments are so buttery and so warm and so yummy because of the light that's on them. So do you get the idea? Light your window treatments. It will make a huge difference. And if you want to know how to do this on the cheap, making it happen wherever you are so you don't have to wait until you hit the lottery, you can do it now. Here's an idea. Now, this picture doesn't show it in front of window treatments, but it might as well. Why not get some of those pendant lights, whether it be the drum shade like you see here, or the little plastic ones? I mean, go to IKEA or something like it. Get online and find some inexpensive, even plastic, no one can tell, lights, hang them from the ceiling on a hook, then take that cord back behind the window treatments and down the wall, and no one will ever be the wiser. It is such an inexpensive way to add lighting to your home. No excuses anymore. None. No excuses. And if you know what a wall washing light is? Well, it's exactly what it says. Now remember, I told you that window treatment lights are attached about 14 inches away from the wall, but a wall washer is much closer because the whole point is you want to create that light dome that you get from a light fixture on the wall and use it to your advantage. Or you want to light up some sort of texture. We have this beautiful kitchen again. Remember I showed you the chandelier? Well, notice on the back wall, the cooktop wall, there is this absolutely spectacular glass and marble mosaic tile that's laser etched. This stuff is really expensive and really beautiful. So we took some of those monopoints and we set them straight down so that they light up the wall, and you can see the shape of the dome that's created right there on the tile. Absolutely beautiful. In this family room, we again had really, really cool tile on the fireplace. So we decided to light up that tile and send that down as a point like this. Now, I could have chosen to have the lights installed much further away and like beam on it, but I wanted this look. This tile, it's not tile, it's stone, and it's three-dimensional. And anytime you have something three-dimensional and you send lights down on it, it kind of picks up all the different, iterations. So I think it's a really cool look. This hallway. So there's a lot about this hallway, and we are going to have a design session in the future just on mirrors, and I will go into this hallway in depth. But today, for the purpose of lighting, I want you to see how I put these wall washers along the edge of the wall, and you see how they create that cone effect? And I did it right according to where my art pieces were going to be. So that in and of itself, imagine if those lights, and I'm telling you, you see this everywhere. There may be 3 pieces of art, and then there's like one light down here and a random one there, and it's like, no, this is very thoughtful. It is deliberate. So I placed these lights, and then I hung my art to fit exactly in them, evenly spaced. Doesn't that look great? I think so. And then this last one, this is a hallway at the Desert Rose. Very, very simple, but we did place some wall washers on the hallway, not to light up the hallway walking path, which you would normally expect to see in a hotel room, right? No, we lit up the wall, then we hung 3 mirrors, and those wall washers go between the mirrors. So it creates artistic look without spending a lot of money on artwork. And then for our last photo, this is a fun guy's apartment, a guy with a lot of color. And this isn't really wall washing, but it kind of reminded me of a little bit. These are IKEA panels that come in glass, and they come with LED lights that change color. So we created this whole backdrop for his television to sit on, and we did this for very, very little money. But what an incredible light show he has. I mean, this thing turns every color you could think of. That's adding light to your apartment for a very small amount of money, and it's movable when you decide to leave. As for wall sconces add that mid-level of lighting, which is so fun and so nice. Look at this here, a picture of an entryway and a staircase that we did in a house. I brought this picture up specifically because I want you to think about using sconces outside of the box differently than you normally do. Usually you think sconces on either side of a mirror or either side of a piece of art, something like that, right? How about lining a staircase, and as that staircase goes up, so do the heights of the sconces. The sconces bring light and travel with you right on up that staircase. I think that's a really effective use. We also can use sconces in a theater room. This theater room was actually, the wood was cut out to hold the sconces specifically. And I think it made such a nice impression. And these, of course, are all on dimmers, so we just bring them down. I love these sconces, don't you? Here we have more of a traditional look of what you would think for sconces. These are acrylic sconces on either side of this beautiful starburst mirror in a living room. Very classic. And the two sconces on either side with something in the middle. Great balance, great source of light. And here's another way you can use sconces in a way that you wouldn't normally think, and that's to line a hallway. Now let me just say this. In a hallway, or in a staircase too, make sure your staircase or your hallway is wide enough so that you don't run the risk of hitting those as you're going up the stairs. Or if you have young children, I'd kind of stay clear of sconces in a narrow space. But this is a wide hallway, and we use them, 4 of them in this hallway, and I think they are spectacular. They're really tall. They're like 6 feet tall, very, very thin, very Italian. Hello to our Italian viewers there today. You guys make great stuff, just so you know. So this was on either side, actually, of a linen closet, and we mirror it again at the end of the hallway at another linen closet, and it just adds, you know what, it doesn't just add light, it adds drama, it adds design, it adds art, it adds sculpture. This is kind of a funny photo to put in here. This was in my old office, yes, back in the day. But I put this in because I wanted to show you an inexpensive, budget-minded way that you can incorporate sconces into your own design and decor. I found this picture, I went, there it is, I knew I had it. There was a time for a long time that I used to have sconces that you could literally just put a nail on the wall, hang it on the wall, and then the cord would drop out the bottom. Maybe some of you have those. Don't get rid of them, they're hard to find. Well, I mean, if they're really ugly, you can get rid of them, but if there's any hope or any promise in the future, keep them. I think these are so cool, and you know what? I use these in so many places. At one time, I had them on either side of my sofa. I've had them on either side of art pieces or above a dining room credenza, and in this place, I had it on either side of my big bookcase, on either side of my office, and it just brought that symmetry and that look. And you don't need an electrician for it. You can just plug it in. If you need a tip on how to hide those cords, if the cords bother you, you can always make, and I think you can actually buy them nowadays, but I always had to make them, a little sleeve. And I would get like ribbon or satin fabric or whatever I wanted that was gonna go with my look. And I would just create like this sleeve, like this thick, really long, and then you put it over the cord and you bunch it up. And that looks like fabric coming down. That's how we used to do it back in the day. Now, here's the least expensive, quickest way to add lighting to your home, and it's what most of you probably do have, and that's table lamps. There are many, many ways to do lamps. I love pairs of lamps, but you can also do individual lamps as well. But here, this is 2 lamps, okay? We've got a pair, and it's very symmetrical, and we place this guy. Now, just so you know, I want to get a piece of granite or something to put him on to raise him up. I think he needs to be raised up, or maybe some big books. But I just brought him in from Christmas. By the way, are you wondering why my built-in is all empty? Do you guys remember what I did last year? I completely accessorized my home in home goods stuff, and I did it in beachy colors like aquas and turquoises and whites. Well, this year I painted my house, and I went to white and gray. So I don't really want to put my beachy stuff back in there. So I'm going to, I've left it empty since Christmas for a reason. And that is, I'm thinking about it. That's right, I do that too. I think about it. And I visualize all different kinds of things that could go in there and what I want to do. And I'll let you know when I decide. Okay, so back to lamps. If you're going to do a single lamp, you're going to want to make sure that you have proportion. So let me give you an example. Here on this little buffet next to a dining room, we have a beautiful antique mirror, which I love, some great accessories on top, and then we have this rather bulbous shape of a lamp. This is in mercury glass, which, by the way, is one of my favorite materials. I love mercury glass because it's neither silver nor gold. It just does both. You'll notice that I raised it up on books. That's where the accessorizing design session would be very helpful for you, because you'll learn to be able to look back, assess something, and go, something not quite right. And I'll look at something and I'll just go, well, like I just did there. I just picked that guy up, right? And I said he needs to be raised up. So it's that kind of thing, being able to look at things and go, okay, at this height, this is going too low. I want to raise it. Watch. Let's look at it again. This guy should go right about here. Does that look better to you? I hope so, because it does to me. And I'm not even standing back and looking at it. My sofa table here behind my sofa, had that been just a little bit longer, I may have been able to do larger gorded lamps. But it all depends on your spacing. So these are close, so close that I could not go with anything that wasn't really, really skinny on this part. And then these have oval shades, which is so perfect because in this room, I don't have the ability to push this sofa out any further. So this is a relatively narrow table. So look, do you see that? It's oval shade. And that makes it perfect for this. If this had been a round shade, it would have hit this. So, gosh, lampshades, that'll be a whole nother design session. Every one of these tools that I'm giving you is so multifaceted, we could go on for days, but I'm trying to bring it down to what would really matter to you. Here's a very simple guest room. Now, we did this project this last year, and honestly, when it came to the guest rooms, there were 3 of them. We were on a very tight budget. So this is very plain, but a lot of people love it. They just like that really white, clean, airy look. The simplicity of the lines of these lamps and the shade shape, I had to keep in mind with the height of the headboard and what was going on either side. But I love these. It's so simple. You can go to Home Goods and get a pair of lamps, and I think they're like 59 bucks each, and immediately make a huge difference. If you're going to do 2 lamps on either side, personally, I really, really prefer a pair of lamps. There's something about the symmetry and the balance of having a pair that makes you feel good. Try it out. You will be surprised. I want to hear from you when you do. All right, here's a great family room. And this is fun. Yes, a pair of lamps on either side. Notice here that these are extremely tall. If I'm not mistaken, these lamps are like 40, 42 inches. I remember them being unusually tall. What's cool about that is when you're going to put this next to a sofa, it depends on the height of your tables on the side too, you don't want to have a sofa like this. Here's what you don't want. You don't want a sofa like this with a table here and a lamp that comes up to here. That just ain't going to cut it. So you need to have a lamp that gets to the height of almost a floor lamp so that it's balancing. And see how it balances between the piece of art too? Just take for a second in your mind and lower that lampshade down. Do you see what I'm saying? It just would not have looked anywhere near as good. So you have to keep those things in mind. And sometimes it's a matter of buying things, bringing it home, putting it on the table, and seeing how it looks, kind of playing with it. Sometimes you get the lamps and then you go, oh, now I need a vertical piece of art. I think if you continue on learning these steps and principles along the way, you're going to be able to have the same feel that I do. You're going to be able to look at these things and go, something just not right. And then you'll play around with it until you get it right, until it feels good. Even in a children's bedroom, a pair of baseball lamps with lampshades. Now, we actually had these lampshades hand painted because I had this thing in my mind and I could not find stripes in the big thick stripe for a lampshade. So we painted it. Well, we had it painted. But look at how cute that is, just balancing out that little boy's room. And just so you know, you can hand paint lampshades. It's kind of a cool thing to do. So here is a budget-minded, friendly, 2 of them, ideas for you. When it comes to table lamps, it doesn't have to be a table lamp. It could be like in this situation, I think this is a sea urchin. And it's like this, and then it has a light from the inside that goes out. So it's actually kind of artsy, but it's also inexpensive and something you can place. You could even place this in a bookshelf if you wanted to, or sitting on a buffet. And here is my most budget-friendly and fun project. It's a DIY, and you can watch a video that we have called the Sparkle Ball video, where we make these sparkle balls out of Solo cups and a string of Christmas lights. It's that simple. I would highly recommend you go and watch that video. It's got, I think, 3 million views on it. Everyone loves that video. And you can put these anywhere. They can be sitting on a credenza like they are here, like a table lamp, or they could be sitting within a bookcase if there's a way to plug them in. They can be hanging in the corners. They could be in a bathroom. They could be in a kid's room. They could be in a garden window of your kitchen if you have a modern house. So cheap. You can make it yourself and add light to your room, even on a budget. Floor lamps are awesome. I prefer to do them in pairs. Here at the Desert Rose, we had these huge. Now, if you don't think these are huge, these are huge. These lights, they must be this tall. They're from Restoration Hardware. You know how they made a lot of those really oversized floor lamps and lamps? Okay, that's what these are. But because of the scale of the room, the scale of the furniture, the scale of how huge those paintings are, a pair of lamps on either side of the sofa was a great choice. In this family room, I've used a pair of floor lamps again, but I put them in front of the windows to actually create an artsy effect and symmetry around this beautiful fireplace. I did iron behind the windows, and then these 2 lamps, they're a little bit lower than most, but look how beautiful. If you just look at the chair on the right, that lamp appears to be the right height. Imagine if there was a table there and that was a table lamp, it'd be perfect. 2 of them on either side, creating a very architectural look. As I mentioned earlier, you're definitely going to want to light your built-ins. If you have built-ins or even bookcases, you see that I have mine here and I showed you the lights I did, but let me show you a couple of other projects. Let's take a look at lighting that we put in a built-in. Like I said, puck lights or LED lights. Just know that you absolutely, if you're going to build a built-in or you have one, you need to add lighting. We've actually gone through and added lighting after a built-in is done. Absolutely essential, makes all the difference in the world. Do it, do it, do it. That's all I can say. And just to make it user-friendly and easy for all of you, if you have a bookcase or a built-in and you don't feel like you can afford it this time or even want to add lighting to your bookcase, do what I did. This is my home actually 20 years ago. I've had a penchant for built-ins for a very long time. But if you look closely at this, yes, it's dated, it's very out of style, but there's some things that are still really noteworthy. In the middle of the bookcase, I have a floor lamp that I bought at a garage sale. It's probably, I don't know, $5. To the right, I have another little lamp that's inside of that built-in. All I did was literally drill a hole in the back of the built-in wall so that I could fish the cord back and plug it in the wall. And then what did I do? I stuck a plant in front of the hole so no one would know. It's easy to do. Over to the left, you'll see there's a painting on an easel, and behind there, another light fixture. So I actually set them within my built-in as well. But here's the kind of cool thing. On the very top, you'll notice that I used grapevine wreath. There's an empty frame on top to create some artsy thing. There's an urn with a bunch of fake ivy. Remember when fake ivy was big? If you still have it, I would get rid of it as soon as you can, but this is still a really interesting principle to know. I actually had strings of brown Christmas lights, brown cord. That's what you usually use on like the grapevine stuff. And I wrapped it so you don't even see it. It's not green, it's brown. You wrap it on the grapevine and the ivy, and you turn that on at night. And I'm telling you what, 20 years ago, that was the bomb diggity. And just so you know, behind those palm trees on the right, yes, I have uplights. So do I need to cover the fact that it's important to have under-counter lighting? I just threw that in here because I don't want to leave it out. But here's a couple of kitchens where you can see that we did some effective under-counter lighting. Today you can do LED lights. There's things on dimmers. There's so many things to choose from. But don't forget that area as well. The second picture here of this kitchen has that beautiful stone on the back lit. You can see from the top. All right, last photos for you are going to be bottom up. Take a look here in this man's cave. We actually had this sofa custom made where the back, like right here, drops out. Why? Because I designed a really cool table. It was, well, the reason why is because it's a tete-a-tete and it's okay to not have a whole back. But this great table with this amazing chain that we had welded to it, and I wanted to see it. So I had my electrician come in, add a strip light of LED lights, and bam, that is incredible looking. And then let me just leave you with this last photo, which is my house at Christmas time. This year, I actually used my uplights to light up my acrylic angel. She was amazing, wasn't she? Do you get it? Do you see it? Right above the chandelier. That's how you add drama. And look at all those lights. It's really magical, don't you think? So, this concludes my little slideshow of lighting and how it can really bring drama, art, sculpture, and warmth to your home. It can make your house the home that you love. It can make all the difference in the world. So here's your assignment. You've got your little piece of paper and you're going to go through your house and you're going to write down, what do I have, what am I missing, and what am I willing to do or what do I want to do. Start that process and then come back next month on February 25th. It's a Saturday. It's the design sessions on the topic of window treatments, which is going to be really fun. That's one of those things that people have asked me for a long time if I would do a video on window treatments. I love window treatments, not as much as lighting, but close. So I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thank you so much for being a part of the design sessions. Remember this tool, don't just put it in your box and leave it there. Play with it a little bit and then put it in your box, and I'll meet you next month for your next tool. If you feel inclined to check out some of the other tools that maybe you've missed because you're new to the design sessions, be sure to go back and look at some of the other episodes. They're available, and we'd love for you to see them so you can get caught up, so you'll be with us as we go build our houses for the future. Okay, guys, see you next time. Bye-bye.